everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcome to this morning's live streaming. Mind is crowd. Mind is memory. Mind is thoughts. Mind is intellect. And mind is the place where all these things are processed. Because it is ego sense, it is full of thoughts, knowledge. Constantly chattering. It is a crowd of thoughts that you consider as yours, desires, and plagued with ego sense and memory. It goes on dreaming ceaselessly. It is never still even for a single moment. Body needs movement and mind needs stillness. These are the two opposite dimensions. Body grows, develops in movement. Mind develops in stillness. And man is identified with the mind. We think that we are our mind, and that is the whole misery. Get out of the mind. How to get out the mind? A simple process which happens with everyone. We have invited a friend, or we decided to go to a restaurant for a specific occasion. We are sitting comfortably in a place in the restaurant, looked at the menu, placed the order, waiting for appetizers. What are we talking about at that moment? That time our memory comes to the surface, and you say the last time when we went to the other restaurant, the service was faster and much better. And we had a nice time when Sheikh was here. We gave a surprise. In the meantime, the appetizers come on to the table, but we continue to remain engaged in the memory, going through the memory lanes. You are eating the food that is in front of you and that which can satiate you. Instead of being aware, being available to that moment, you say that the appetizers at that other restaurant were far better. Then why did you not go to that restaurant? This is how we live. Now, this is mind. You are going into the memory aspect of the mind. And if you are an important person and you are not identified, you are not given a due recognition, you made your reservations in advance, you gave your reference who you are, and yet still you have to wait in the waiting lounge, ego gets hurt. We are not available to the moment and realize the situation, to come out of this situation when it comes to the memory. You have to undergo a process. The food that you ate last time has been consumed and it has been processed, and all that was necessary has been absorbed in the body cells, and the remainder was excreted. Now this food that is there in front of you, whether it is, if it is not, there is a shortcoming in it, you can call the waiter and ask him to change it or something. But the food that is there in front of you on the platter is the only one that can satiate you at that moment. Bringing that thought, bringing that process, you can come out of the mind, memory aspect of the mind. And if you are waiting in the lounge, you have booked your seats, and your ego is hurt that you had been waiting, asked to wait for 10 minutes. You have to go through a process. Maybe the last person who occupied this table took a little longer time to finish, because normally in the restaurant there are limited number of tables, there is limited number of time. So normally what they assume that a particular table will remain occupied for 40 to 45 minutes. By the time the order is placed, the food is served, finished, and the final transaction is done, it will take 40 to 45 minutes. So accordingly, the restaurant management assigns that table to the next person. This is the procedure. If you are waiting, you should understand this. So you are trying to understand the ego aspect of the mind. And you are analyzing and you are using your wisdom to come out of that situation. When I say get out of the mind, you will say, what is the methodology? If you are intelligent enough, you can find your own methodology. There is no, and the methodology differs from person to person. Differs from person to person. What is suitable for you at that moment is yours. What is suitable for me, I have drawn a reference. Instead of going into the memory aspect of it, go to the present moment. The whole idea is that if the memory aspect is surfacing, transcend to the moment. If ego aspect is surfacing, transcend to the mind, to the present moment, and there bliss happens. All that change takes place because the food that you have available to you, and if you are available to you, there will be a coordination and harmony between the food and you. Food will absorb into your cells easily. It will give you satiation, and out of that, happiness will come to you. And the transformation is the criteria of happiness. Get out of the mind, come back to your senses by coming to the present moment. Get out of the mind, because mind is a kind of a madness, is a crowd. But one can get out of the mind in two ways. One is falling below the mind. You can, and that, how that can be possible? You can start making a noise there. Call the waiter. I have made my appointment for this time. I have been waiting here for 10 minutes. Call the manager. You are creating a scene. The other way is, and the restaurant owner, when you realize you are creating too much of noise, may put you out, may apologize. But the other way is, you ask the waiter, how long will it take? Can you give us the menu in the meantime? So we will look through the menu and place our order. That's right. Yes, sir. You can place the order and I'll bring the menu for you. You place your order and we will give you a complimentary drink. This is the way that you come out of the mind, but you go above the mind, not below the mind. And this is the way of transformation. And you want to know how to come out? This, as I said, each one of you is intelligent and you can find your own way. Why am I giving the reference to the restaurant? Which example should I give? Any example can be given, whether it is a restaurant, whether it is a doctor's office, whether it is visiting a government office. The methodology remains the same. This other way is going beyond the mind, and when you go beyond the mind, the transformation is possible. If you keep on gathering such moments, you can go beyond the mind, above the mind. And that's where you attain to Buddhahood or Christhood. The choice is always yours to choose one. The second is the obvious choice. There is a fear of going out of the mind, because it is said, are you out of the mind or what? Transcendence always happens when you come out of the mind. You get the sunlight only when you come out of the limited, narrow boundaries of the mind. You can get the vast horizon shining at you in its splendor only when you come out of the mind, come out of the narrow boundaries of the mind. But there is a fear, because mad people are also out of the mind, but they have fallen below. And one has to rise above using his intelligence. When you rise above the mind, great silence descends. Bliss is the outcome of that silence. And transformation is the fragrance of bliss. You see the mind deep down in the valley, clattering still, but the distance between you and the mind becomes bigger and bigger every day. And one day you can clearly hear that all that chattering is no more. It is far away. That day you have attained, transformed, you have become enlightened. Mind lives either in the past, as I have explained through that example, or in the future. Maybe at that time you say that the service here is very poor. I do not know what will be the quality of the food. Okay, next time that when we are coming, we are not coming to this restaurant. We will go to the other. We will try the other restaurant. Do not know what is in treasure. You are at that moment. Make that moment. Make that occasion rejoicing. And when life is lived like this, remember, old man has no future. He's already knocking the doors. He knows that there is death in the corner, and he is afraid to look into the future. He goes on reminiscing about the past and all that has been no more. That has not been there. So he reminisces the past and all that has been no more. He enjoys those golden moments. Much of it is just imagination now. In the first place, it has never been much of it is just projected invention to remain occupied. The moment a person starts living in the past is the moment you start becoming old. To live in the present moment is the way of remaining youthful, remaining alive. Psychologically, that is the point from where one becomes old, when you start living in the past. Psychologically, it may not coincide, however, physiologically, it may not coincide, however, psychologically, old age begins when you start thinking about the past. Psychologically, the old age begins when you start thinking of the past. The beauties of the past, the golden experiences, the nice days, and how everything was just great. The future is so dark that you are afraid to look into it and you want to remain occupied with the past. But this is not so with the young people. The young person looks at the future. Death is far away. In reality, the young person never thinks of death because it is far away. It is beyond the scope of his thoughts. He does not have that much insight. So he lives in the future, making castles in the air, planning and all that. So he lives in the future, making castles in the air, goes on imagining, I will do this, I will get this, and I will be this, and tomorrow it is going to happen. If not tomorrow, then certainly day after tomorrow it is going to happen. But certainly it is going to happen. The old man wastes his present living in the past, and the young man wastes his present moment by living in future. Both are wasting their time. Both exercises are absolutely futile and very harmful, because the present which is being wasted for that which is not. Live in the present moment. Each time when a circumstance and situation comes, use the bridge of your understanding. Use your intelligence as a bridge to come back to the present moment. And that is the message of all the Buddhas to you. Be it in the present moment. Anytime you realize that you are going in the past or in the future, use the bridge and take a return back to the present moment. And if you can be present to the present moment, you escape from all kind of stupidities of the old and the youth. If you can be in the present moments, you transcend time. Time consists of two aspects, past and future, because it cannot capture the present moment. Eternity is now, always now and never then, always here, never there. And to enter into now and here is to enter into God, the eternal. This is your innerness. This is your heart. To be now and to be here. This has to become your meditation. Come more and more close to the present moment. I am not saying not to prepare for the journey. If you are going somewhere, you have to purchase a ticket ahead of time. You have to plan it. I am not against that. That has nothing to do with future. That I am talking about a psychological hope, and desire becomes the problem for the present moment. Stop going into the psychological future. The actual future is okay. This does not create any disturbance. Actual future means you are planning a trip. You have to buy your tickets in advance. You have to plan the trip, inform the people that you are coming, or the place where you have to stay. You make your arrangements to book your hotels and all those things. This is actual future. Psychological future is imagining. Here you are doing something. The actual past is also okay. This too will not disturb. It does not disturb at all. You have to remember the name and address of the place where you have to go. This is actual past. Instead of that, we go into the psychological past and psychological future. You are visiting a country. You remember, you make all the arrangements, because when you have to fill out your immigration form, you have to give the name, the person, your contact, phone number and address. This is actual past. You have to recognize it. These are the actual things, and you have to be aware of this. There is no problem. Relax into the present moment, and then all miracles are possible. Things will happen. So the point is how you are using your intelligence to come out of the situation that may lead you to the future, the psychological future or the psychological past which is not there. The example of the restaurant is a very practical example, and that is what everyone does. When we go for a visit, we remain talking about something which we had done in the past. Not the river is rivering in front of you. Instead of being one with the river, you start talking about, you go on into the psychological future. The waterfall that we went last time was beautiful. But that is not there. This is psychological past. Come out of that. Miracles are possible. Transformation is possible. Only this much for this morning. Until Saturday, take care and do have a pleasant day.